Good morning, students, and welcome to Practical Research 2 class. So right now, we will be discussing Chapter 1 of Practical Research 2, which is about nature of inquiry and research. Now, I believe that you have already knowledge of what a research is, since you are done taking Practical Research 1, which is basically about qualitative research. And your knowledge is basically a requirement for us to be able to continue the discussion on research, particularly quantitative research. Now, as a student or as a person, you have a lot of questions in mind, be it about people, things, places, events, or it could be about their characteristics, qualities that make you wonder, all right? That make you wonder, which actually lead you to act or do something to find answers to your questions. Or, of course, sometimes your main objective is to discover the truth about your inferences or speculations on such particular object. Now, in research, always remember that we really have to follow scientific process. We have to organize data, to collect data before we give our conclusion or findings. If not, then we are just making or giving our own opinion. All right. If you did not or if you do not undergo such processes or such a systematic process, then you are just spreading gossip. You're only giving your own opinion without any scientific basis. Right now, it is also about acting like an investigator. Why? Because if you have question in mind, you are thinking of ways, you are thinking of methods, techniques. You are having plan A, plan B, in order for you to answer your problem or your question in mind, in order to find solution to the particular problem that you have. All right. And that is the true nature of research, because without undergoing those processes, without conducting scientific methods, scientific processes, systematic approaches, so basically, you're not doing research. Because when we say research, this is systematic process. Moving on, it says here that one goal of education is knowledge acquisition. However, education is not just stocking your brain with knowledge, but it also encourages you to use acquired knowledge for a deeper understanding of the world, an understanding that inspires you to create, construct, or produce things for the betterment of not only your own life, but of the whole world as well. Like what I said, the main reason why we are actually studying research is to provide or is to make our life easier, is to make our life more comfortable. And when you learn how to conduct research properly and accurately, you could be able to contribute to the world. Because, like what I said, the main reason why we have research is to make our life better. And let's just take this example. The reason why we have aircon, the reason why we have mobile phone, technologies around us, electric fan, refrigerator, those are basically product of research. Without research, those things will not be possible. So that's how research is very important or significant in our lives. And let us now discuss inquiry. For us to be able to really understand what a research is, then we have to discuss inquiry. Inquiry is a term that is synonymous with the word investigation. So basically, when you inquire, you are investigating, you investigate. So when you have question in mind, for you to be able to answer that question, you have to investigate. You have to do something. You have to act. All right? You are not only relying on gossip. You are not only relying on hearsay. Alright? Hindi ka magre-rely sa kung ano yung naririnig mo sa paligid mo. Hindi ka magre-rely sa kung ano lang ang sinabi sa'yo. So, in research, when you say inquire, you have to do it scientifically. You have to investigate. You have to follow process. Alright? When you inquire or investigate, you tend to ask questions to probe or examine something. So like what I said, if you have question, and if you need answer to that, then you have to probe questions. You have to ask questions for you to be able to get solution, to find solution to your problem. In addition, When we inquire, we investigate. So when we investigate, we conduct examination. And how do we conduct examination? So we do this kind of examination through your HOTS or higher order thinking strategies of inferential, analytical, critical, creative, and appreciative thinking to discover more understandable or meaningful things beyond such object of your inquiry. Now, if you have questions in mind, if you want to investigate something, then you have to be logical. You have to be critical. What does it mean? You are not only relying on the available data that you have. So you should be open-minded to discover something. You have to consult or to check other sources, other valid sources, so that your findings would be valid and acceptable. All right. So you are not just relying with one or single information that is provided to you by someone else or that you see from just one source. So it should be supported by other documents. There must be like supporting documents from other valid sources. So that's how we do inquiry, or that's how we inquire. That's how we investigate. That's how we conduct examination. We are now fully aware of what an inquiry is. Right now, let us talk about research. Research is a scientific, experimental, or inductive manner of thinking. We say scientific because it follows scientific and systematic process. Experimental because you have to test or to prove something, to experiment. Inductive manner of thinking because you have to start from the specific ideas to a more complex ideas. And also when we conduct research, we have to start from lower order thinking strategies to a higher order thinking strategies. And we can only do this by following the following steps. The research activities, rather. Number one, identifying the topic or problem. Number two, gathering data. Number three, making theories. Next, formulating hypotheses, analyzing data, and drawing conclusions. Now, like what I said earlier, it is a must that we have to follow scientific process because these processes would actually make our conclusions more valid and reliable. Without doing these processes, then basically there is a great possibility that your research will not be reliable and valid. Now let's talk about characteristics of research. The data you work on in research do not come mainly from yourself, but also from other sources of knowledge like people, books, and artworks, among others. Hence, one cardinal principle in research is to give acknowledgement to owners of all sources of knowledge involved in your research work. What does it mean? Like what I said earlier, when we conduct research, we have to be open minded to other sources. So we have to get data from the books, from the people through interview. Could be from it could also be from the library, from online websites, because those data are actually needed to support our research study. And also part of the characteristic of research is to acknowledge, is to give acknowledgement to the owners of all sources that we will be using in our research. Be it from the books, so you have to acknowledge the author. Be it from the people, so you have to acknowledge the people whom you have interviewed with. And it is basically a principle that we have to establish in conducting research. Another thing, giving credit to the people from whom you derive your data is your way of not only thanking the authors of their contribution to the field, but also establishing the validity and reliability of the findings of your research. As explained, those information that you have actually gathered from different sources, those are basically used to support your findings, to make your findings more valid and more reliable.